So, welcome students. After the minimum subscription process in public offering, we will allot shares to the respective shareholders who have subscribed for the shares of the company. So, a return of allotment in the form number 2 of Companies Act, Central Government's General Rules, and Form 1956 should be filled with the registrar of companies within 30 days of the date of allotment, along with the fee payable as prescribed in the Schedule 10 of the Act. In case the issue is oversubscribed, the basis of allotment has to be decided in consultation with stock exchange authorities as per the guidelines laid down by the stock exchange. So allotment is nothing but you will have shares of your company. For example, you will have 10 lakh shares of 10 rupees each. Therefore, you can expect to get rupees 1 crore from the shareholders. So you have 10 lakh shares in your hand. We have already issued the prospectus and issued the advertisement to the public asking them to buy the shares, and we have already listed our company's name in the stock exchange. After that, what we have to do is, after the shareholders or the public asked for us to provide the shares to them and pay the money, we through the subscription list, we will have the subscription list which contains the name of the shareholders who has requested for the shares of our company, and each one could have requested for a different amount of shares. After that process, what we need to do is we need to allot the shares that we have to the amount of money that they have given us. So for example, if someone has requested 1000 shares and he has deposited 10,000 in that separate bank account that we have discussed, what we have to do is we have to allot 1000 shares in his name. In the olden days, I mean a decade or two before, the companies will print a document. It's called a share document. The share document will contain the name of the shareholder. So they will literally print the document and then they will send the share document to the shareholder. So the shareholder will keep in possession of the document until if he wants to sell his shares, he will come to the company and give the shares to in the company, and he will ask the company to close its shares and give him the money back. So that's what generally happens. But nowadays all the shares have been dematerialized, which means that you can have your shares in the electronic form only. Only if some shareholders need it to have it in the document form, in the physical form, they can have it, but even then their shares will be stored as dematerialized way in the stock exchange and the depositories. So depositories are this huge places, companies. Depository is a separate company, and that company will hold the information of all the shareholders of all the companies and how much ever shares they are holding. So if someone is has to sell the shares, they will just notify it to the company or to the share market, stock market, and the stock market will notify the depository. So if person A is selling his 1000 shares of company to person B, and person B already has an account in the depository, the depository will just transfer whatever the shares are in the person A's name and store it in B's account. That's all. So that's how dematerialized shares function. You will see that later in a separate act. There is a separate act issued by the Government of India for dematerialization of share documents. Anyways, before that, the companies will print the shares in the paper, and they will get it signed from the shareholder, and the share document will include the name of the shareholder. Therefore, even if he loses that share document, even if he physically lost the share document, the document will still be in his name. So therefore nobody can use the document. And that document will be allotted to him. The document will be sent to him, which will have the information that you are holding 1000 shares worth of 10,000 rupees, so on and so forth. So what happens if we are issuing only 10 lakh shares and 11 lakh people are subscribing for the shares? we can at that point issue something called either we can ask the stock exchange what to do in that point. If the stock exchange tells us to not to issue shares for the remaining 1 lakh people, just to issue the shares for the first 10 lakh people, whoever who has asked for the subscribed for the shares, then we can do that. Or else the companies can ask the stock exchange that and tell them that it is okay, we will receive that money for 11 lakhs, which is 1 crore and 10 lakhs, and we will share the shares of the company proportionally among them. For example, okay, if for convenience I'll say another example. If we have if we have issued shares for rupees 1 crore, which means 10 lakh shares of rupees 10 each, and we have received a subscription of 20 lakh for 20 lakh shares, which is 20 lakh shares of 10 rupees each equals 2 crores. What the company will do is, the company will allot one share in the place of 2 shares. For example, if I asked for 10 shares of the company, means it will give me only 5 shares for the same amount that I am giving. I will still give them the price for 10 shares only, which is 100 rupees, but the company will only give me 5 shares. So that method is called pro rata allotment. So that's also possible if the stock exchange permits the company to do that. That's what oversubscription means. It means oversubscription, the oversubscribed amount after the finalization of allotment should be refunded to the applicants within 10 weeks of the closure of subscription list. So if I have asked for if the total demand for the shares is 20 lakhs instead of 10 lakhs, the company can issue wherever it can the stocks to the shareholders proportionally. For example, if I have asked for 10 shares, now it can only give me 5 shares, but will still take my 100 rupees instead of 50 rupees. That's called a pro rata allotment. But let us say if I have given 110 rupees, okay, the company can allot me 5 shares of 20 rupees each instead of 10 rupees each, and then give me back my 10 rupees. So the fulfilling the remaining change is called oversubscription, refunding for oversubscription. Whatever the shareholders that the company cannot allot shares, the company will refund the money paid by them. So that needs to be done within 10 weeks of the closure of subscription list. If the money is not so refunded, the company will be able to refund with the interest from the expiry of 8 days after 10 weeks. So within first 10 weeks, the company has to refund all the money. And if the company hasn't refunded in the first 10 weeks, and also it is delaying for another 8 days, for each day after the 8 day, the company has to pay interest for that money. Compliance report, as stipulated by SEBI guidelines, within 45 days of closure of issue, a report in the prescribed form along with the compliance certificates from statutory auditor practicing, chartered accountant, or by a company secretary in practice is to be forwarded by the lead managers. So SEBI guidelines says that within 45 days after you have issued your shares to the public, you need to prepare a report that how the report should be will be prescribed by the SEBI itself. The SEBI will give you a format. In that format, you need to prepare a report on how many shares you have sold, how many investors are there, and if there is any pro rata allotment, if there has been any refunds, in which bank account you have deposited all the investments, and so on and so forth. All of these necessary details, along with compliance certificates. Compliance certificates means nothing but a certificate from a chartered accountant or a company secretary or a statutory auditor saying that you have followed all the rules under the SEBI. You have followed each and every rule that is been ruled by the Securities Exchange Board of India and the Companies Act. That's called the compliance report. So that compliance report, along with all the necessary data, will be sent to the Securities Exchange Board of India by your lead manager. Your lead manager, I have told you that it means the person who is doing the service of acquiring the shares from the acquiring the investment from the public on behalf of you. So why can't you do that yourself? Means they have more experience, and companies are most of the time when they are doing the public offering, they are new to that process, and they do not have enough resources to make the compliance and issue of shares possible. So to help them with that, there are lead managers available. The companies can make use of them.